I'm Monty Francis with INTA TV, and joining me now is the president of OHIM, Mr. António Campinos. It's great to see you here in Hong Kong.
Great to see you too.
Can you tell us about the new initiatives that OHIM has been working on during the past year?
Well, I think in the past year we continue to focus on our core operations, which is we continue to strive to increase the quality of the service we render to our users. And from the latest figures we have, we are good, we are on track. And most lately, I mean, the tools of the European Trademark and Design Network, the TM View, Design View, TM Class, that are the new initiatives that are making the difference in the market now.
Now, OHIM has been in charge of the EU Observatory for the past 2 years. How is that going?
I think it's going fine. Today the observatory is fully integrated in the office. We released two important studies. The first one following the US study on the contribution of IP-intensive industry to GDP growth and trade. We got our study published, and the figures are really impressive. IP-intensive industry accounts in Europe for 40%, almost 40% of GDP, 90% of trade, and 35% of direct and indirect employment. And the second study on the IP perception, what do citizens think they know about IP and what they do really know about IP, for us now to start designing all the awareness campaigns and trying to make a difference there too.
Are there any other studies in the pipeline?
Yes, there are. There's two studies. The first one is after this IP-intensive industry study, which has defined at a macro level what is the contribution of industry to GDP, trade and employment. We're now analyzing this to a micro level. So we're seeing the behavior of companies or industrial sectors as regard to those who are IP-intensive and those who are not IP-intensive. And the second one, very important one, we will engage into a partnership with OECD, and we're trying to define the extent of damages produced by counterfeiting and piracy in terms of non-growth of GDP, in terms of non-creation of jobs, in terms of cost for social security, in terms of income for the governments, and of course the cost of the IP enforcement infrastructures. And those numbers will be there by the end of this year or beginning of next year.
Let's talk about CTM RCD filings. What's been the activity during the past year?
Well, amazing. We continue, despite this crisis, hopefully this year or next year we'll be pulling out of the crisis. But in these past 3-4 years, we had a 5% increase of both CTM and RCD. So industry continues to file in a very intensive rate, actually.
How does that compare to past years?
Well, we are in the historical growth average of the past year. So it compares exactly, more or less exactly the same.
What specific issues were addressed during the CTM RCD Users Meeting that you can share with us?
I mean, the users always focus at the quality of our service. So many questions related to the quality of our service, and we have to explain our practice, and we have explained to them that in the next 2 months we will have a complete revised guidelines which gives the interpretation of the office as regard to the CTM regulation. So lots of questions around these issues, which is totally normal, and a lot of interest in our convergence program. So the program which we have launched, which intends amongst the 28 member states and the office to have convergence whereby the convergence is not defined by law, but rather by practice. A lot of interest in this area.
Mr. António Campinos, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.